Hello, listeners of the Art Versations podcast. Greetings, art lovers, and thank you for tuning in. This is Art Versations, a meditative conversation about the artistic process. If this is your first time joining me, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Bri, like the cheese, and I am the host and producer. Each episode, I sit down with an artist to hear about their projects and works of art. Maybe you're an artist yourself, or perhaps an art enthusiast? Then please make yourself at home and join the growing community by subscribing or following on your preferred platform. That way you can stay up to date when a new episode drops, because it'll pop right into your feed. It's so easy. As well, on the podcast Instagram, that is at artversationspod, you'll find even more content, so don't forget to go follow that as well. We are nearing the end of season 4, so keep an eye out for some best of clips on the podcast Instagram that will be coming very soon. Okay, let's get into what you really want to be listening for. On this week's episode, I zoomed with this Texas-born actor and writer, and geez, there are so many golden nuggets of inspiration dropped into this episode. He is so wise and so patient with his words. It really brought me to a calming place when I spoke with him, especially since there were some big Zoom lags. I'm just going to bring that right up from the top. Usually I like to keep each episode as unedited as possible, but I'll be honest and say that I had to do some pretty heavy doctoring in post. So just keep an eye out for that. Nonetheless, though, our conversation was filmed with deep thoughts about auditions, tackling the racism in the musical Hair, writing a solo show, and much, much more. So please make yourself at home, get comfy. Here's episode 9 with JaVaun Ryal Butler.
Well, okay, so here we go. We're jumping out of the plane, but we have parachutes.
Perfect. Great. Yes. Hello, JaVaun.
Yeah. Hey.
How are you doing today?
How are you, friend?
I'm so good, except you keep meshing in
we're
and out.
good.
Oh, wait, you're back. Okay.
We love
Wi-Fi
the internet and whatnot, right?
You're back. Tell me how you are.
I'm pretty good. I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. It's been a roller coaster of 2 weeks with coming back to in-person school after doing virtual, and then callbacks and auditioning, and then working, and then assignments. It's weird. Look, we're like making it through. Earlier, right before I got on, I was getting ready. I wasn't getting ready. I made it. Like these microwavable dinners and whatnot. Mm. And just as I was going to pull the plastic off of it so I could eat it, it flipped off the side of the table, and all of the spinach, chicken, corn, rice, and every other ingredient of goodness
not the floor. Corn.
And so it was oh man. And I was so hungry. I so wanted it, but it's okay. It's fine. So that's how we are.
A dish falling off the table.
A dish falling off the table.
Oh. Yeah. Well,
how are you,
for
friend?
Being here. I'm okay. I'm back home in my hometown of Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. And it feels very nostalgic to be here. I've been taking care of my little sister for the past week. So, yeah, it's weird to be back home and see how things have changed. But it feels good. It feels like I can, return, and those memories sort of flash in, and then I realize it's okay. We're good. I still want to live in Toronto. I still enjoy, the city life. I'm not such a suburban homie. So, yeah, I'm okay. Thank you.
Good.
Are you with the going back to in person? I feel like for me, it's been like a lot of overwhelming social anxiety.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you're feeling that way too.
Yes. And nobody in Texas wears a damn mask.
Ah,
Um, it's like, I want so badly to engage and be social and whatnot, because I mean, like, we haven't had that privilege for what, a year and a half now. But at the same time, back up and put your mask on, brother, before you run up on me trying to talk to me.
yeah.
And when I'm at working, stand behind my plexiglass, man. Because they just love to pull one of these numbers, ignore the plexiglass, and like come this close to your face.
Oh, what?
I'm gonna need for you not. I'm gonna need for you not to do that.
Yeah, literally. Like there's no difference between like standing and looking at someone from like clear glass. Like that's so
Right.
they just want to get in. They want to be like they're like me. Talk about me. Look at me. It's like that feeling, I feel like.
Like I see you. I see. And what really kills me is like when they pull this number, when they take the mask like off to speak, like I can hear you.
It's literally the exact
You
same
don't
thing.
have to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so frustrating.
But yeah.
Well, you're making it work, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do it. I know that I do it to my power to like keep myself safe. So my friends laugh at me because double masking is recommended, but I take it a step further and I do 3. So it's
3.
like, yeah. So it's like usually I know it might be a bit extreme, but I've been sick before. I don't want to be sick again. So it's like 2 of the surgical, and then I'll do one of the, I screw the name up every time, K95.
Right.
That like,
Oh, those
yeah.
double duty ones.
On top
Wow.
of the 2. And I try my best to take my vitamin D, all the different vitamins that help your immune system stay in tip top shape.
Mm-hmm. That is not, I think it's not uncommon to like double mask for sure. And I wonder if with the triple, like you're just adding that little bit of layer of like, okay, I really just I can't give you any germs. Like like, and then in some ways
Right.
maybe you can get closer to people. I don't know. Like cuz the masks don't always do everything too.
And see, that's like the other, that's the catch, right?
Yeah.
Like I have all of this protection, quote unquote, and then the minute like I unmask to get a drink of water, or the minute I like unmask to eat a snack outside, I can literally in those moments like contract whatever, and that's the annoying fucking part of it. Like I
Absolutely.
did all of this and still got sick. Go to hell. But yeah.
I feel well, I wish you good health within your 3 layers.
Thank you.
Can
Thank
you
you.
still like breathe properly?
Listen, after working in the blistering heat of summer 2020 at Sam's Club, pushing carts with mask on my face, I can breathe under anything. I think I can just about breathe under anything.
Wow.
I mean, and they had us, we were understaffed.
Mm-hmm.
They had us lifting, Sam's is like a grocery store, right, in Texas. It's like one of the bigger ones. You have to have like a membership to like shop there. It's bougie as hell. And so like as a cart attendant, I had to push all the carts back to the store, and also like if people needed help like loading things in the vehicle, like I had to help them and whatnot. And this is a PSA announcement to any and everyone who shops at any type of grocery store or any store at all that has a buggy, basket, whatever you want to call it. Bring that shit to the to the buggy holder or whatever, wherever you get it
Yes.
collected at. Please stop putting that way in Timbuktu on the opposite side of the parking lot because somebody has to go and grab that.
That's why
So
they have
I
those
do,
shelters there, right? Like that's
yeah.
where the cart goes. I feel like it's so self-explanatory to just push it
I mean,
over. Like you still
you would
get
be so
people
surprised.
like putting it in the back of the parking lot.
Oh my God. I used to get people that would look at me like coming toward them and still not put the card where they
Oh
need to put
my
it.
gosh. Lazy.
Yeah. But no, I think that summer conditioned my lungs really well
Mm,
to
mm.
breathe under 3 layers of mask. So
And then maybe you're ready for some singing at any point too. I feel like I've
again,
lost I feel like singing now is gonna be a lot easier as well. Like I feel like I've lost my like
yeah,
projection abilities because
yeah,
of masks and not being live.
yeah. I think like when it comes down to singing, I don't know. Okay. So like I'm doing hair right now. Like I'm in the middle of doing
What a show!
that's
What a
funny.
show!
Oh God. Like okay, so this is my senior year at Texas State, in the acting program. I'm not musical theater at all. Like when you think of musical theater, the dancing and the singing, the reading the music and the whole nine, that's not me. Um, but I do sing and I do move my body,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm like musical theater adjacent, uh, you know? But so I auditioned for the musical because like, why not? I sing, I act, it's something auditioning for a musical was something that I was afraid of doing,
Mm.
and I didn't want to. I didn't want to graduate, leave undergrad, leave a community and an environment of people where like I feel safe to just walk into a room and royally fuck up
Mm.
without like confronting that particular fear of mine.
Yeah.
Um, so to make a long story short, I walk in, audition, fast forward through callbacks, I end up getting cast in the musical. Yay, it's so much fun, it's so fucking cool, but also like, what the fuck am I doing? Um, but I brought that up to talk about singing.
Mm.
Um, and not that like masks make it more difficult to breathe. So I think my lungs, like my lung capacity, is like fine. But I think what's difficult for me is the enunciation of
Mm.
it all. Like I think I've lost a bit of that, but that can also just be in my head because like I'll mention that concern to like friends of mine and they're like, no, I don't hear it, but
Mm.
okay. But yeah, because especially like with wearing three, like it can kind of get it can get sucked in there, you know. But no, I definitely feel you like on that projection too because I'm all in person and I have to get through 3 layers. Sometimes it's just not worth it. After the third time, when someone like is like, huh? What'd you say? One more time? I'm like, after 3 times, it's okay.
Yeah.
What I said is it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You cut out a little bit there. Did you say you're a sociable person?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm a social person, but
I
I'm
see
also like
that.
I'm very soft spoken.
Mm.
I'm not a very like loud person. I can be loud,
Mm-hmm.
um, but for the most part, I have a very like soft uh, tone to me, mellow vibes.
Yes. As I'm
You
hearing
know,
it now, it's like cushions in my ear. It's very soft.
that's
But
new. I like that. Cushions in my ears.
but yeah, I think there's like we can't see the lips when we talk through the mask, right? So when I'm speaking to
Right.
someone and I don't over articulate and really, express the consonant, it like it's a difficult communication barrier of just like, why can't you hear what I'm saying? Like I'm trying so hard to actually give you the sentence. I find that a lot with kids too. Like they're so, because speaking is still, developing in their skill set. Like I
Right.
find I have to be like, what did you say? Like, can you say it one more time? And then I have to like turn my ear to their actual mouth, and they have to like feed it directly right into my ear. Yeah, no, it's difficult that way. And with
Yeah.
especially with for me like I'm a very like expressive person in my face. Like I use my eyes and my eyebrows and my mouth to, just to like show how I'm actually feeling rather than my actual words. And
Mm.
I haven't been able to do that. And so I feel like I really have to use my eyes like to a point of looking crazy. So
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. No, I totally relate. I totally relate. I think one of my behaviors that I picked up, especially from being on Zoom when you can't all clap at the same time. So, we do the
The shaky
I
hands,
think
yeah.
this is the sign language applause. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I think, don't quote me on it
Mm.
because it might not be. But yeah, the trees or the shaky hands or whatever, however you want to coin it. And I find myself doing that in person. And people will look at me and go, "What are you doing?" And
Yeah.
I can do that here.
You can actually make noise now. Yeah, yeah. That is funny. All these mannerisms that we've picked up just to continue on with communication. I find
Right.
it's very interesting how that works. Okay, yeah. So you were not usually a musical theater guy. That's so funny. I think. I mean, I haven't known you for very long, and really, I've only seen you online because we met at TPAP this summer. But I do find that
Right.
you exude a kind of personality that would be perfect for the musical theater character. So that's really interesting to hear that
that does that does a
you're
lot for
not
my
so into
confidence.
that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I like from the moment I met you
Yeah.
in like one of our first warm-ups, I was like, "Oh, look at his energy." Like through a screen I could feel it. But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
there's something to I feel like JB has spoke about this in his class too about like musical theater kind of seeming fake or like
mm,
superficial. I
yeah.
don't know if you have that same sentiment and that's why you chose acting. I don't know.
Well, okay. So here we go. We're jumping out of the plane, but we have parachutes.
Perfect. Great.
Um, so okay. I Before I knew that I could act or any of the other things that I also write. Um, Before I knew I could do any of those, and I remember I was in the second grade at Franklin Elementary School in Port Arthur, Texas, in Marvel Allison's music class. And before every class session, we had to sing the school song. I think I still remember it. It's today Memorial High, we sing, we pledge our loyalty to the time of that, and we will know how much we love Memorial. May not act of anyway. But so she had us sing that um, every day. And one day she's behind the piano and she's playing, and like my entire class is singing, and she stops and she goes, "Who's singing like that?" And we all look around like, "Wasn't me. Was it you? Is it me, Jesus?" Um, and so we're like, "What are you talking about?" And she makes us go one by one and like sing. I mean, she doesn't have us sing the whole thing, but she has us sing a little tidbit. And then she's like, "Okay, next, next, next." And then she gets to me and she plays a little bit and I start singing and she goes, "It's you." And I start crying because I'm like, "What did I do? I'm sorry." And she goes, "No, no, no, don't cry. You have a beautiful voice." And so I'm like, "Oh, I thought everybody sounded like this." Um, and so I mean, I was like, I didn't know it was anything special. Um, and so she had me sing in some school programs and stuff like that. And from the school programs, then I started singing in church, and that's where I got most of my chops.
Gotcha.
From the third row and then in a Black Baptist church in the choir stand. Um, And so a lot of my vocal influence comes from gospel, or it comes from singers like Aretha Franklin and Donny Hathaway and Stevie Wonder, the like.
Mm.
Because I also spend a lot of time with the older people in my family, the singers that they listen to.
Yeah.
And so listening to like the I guess you could say the style, or what used to be the style of musical theater, because now I think it's kind of like we're leaning away from the traditional sound.
Right.
I counted myself out and I said, well, there's no place for me there because I don't sound like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't read music. And I was just like, not to make a fool out. But and then when I got to high school, I was a part of the class that did our high school's first ever musical. And my director isn't a musical theater director. She's like a straight play director. So we did the musicals like they were straight plays, but they just had singing. So like, I never really got the whole, like the song is a monologue, but you just so happen to be singing. I didn't get the ins and outs of like what singing the song in the musical is supposed to be, or the mechanics of it and whatnot. So I called myself auditioning for musical theater at Texas Thespian, thinking, because I had done two, I knew a little something. I didn't know jack shit.
No.
I didn't know nothing. And so I got from, God, what was the name of it? A Few Good Men. Monologue was cool. Monologue was fine. Dandy. It was all right. Cross the T's, dotted the I's. Wonderful. And for the song, I sang, well, funny thing about me singing it. I decided that I wanted to attempt Make Them Hear You from Ragtime.
Okay.
I finished the monologue. The accompanist starts playing. I sing maybe the first 2 or 3 words and forget the rest of the entire song. The entire song. There's like a room of 50 plus just watching me stand up there, and I'm so embarrassed. And I just jumped to the end of the song, and I was like, I don't even remember if I like sang the last word of the song or if I just hit the last note of the song. Either way, it's a blur now. But I finished the song, said thank you, and I sat my happy self down. And the excruciating part about it all, if that wasn't painful enough, is that they were bringing us in groups of 3, and I was first in my group, so I had to sit through the 2 other students going up there and like nailing their monologues and singing their songs flawlessly, perfectly, and effortlessly. I had to sit in my shame.
Oh man!
And so that like really, that one experience shaded musical theater for me.
Yeah.
But
I can imagine it would just be like
I was ready
moment
to
of like, oh, this isn't for me. I can't do it because I didn't do it that time. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So I was like ready to not have to carry that shame with me, because I do like the soundtracks. Some of the music is absolutely like, like you want to throw your phone across the room so good. And I want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna put my big boy Pampers on, and I'm gonna suck it up. I'm gonna go in the room and do what I do. And funny enough, to make it full circle, for my hair audition, I forgot some of the words.
Oh no!
So yeah, it happened again. I forgot some of the words, and I just started standing there like someone had hit me across my head and I lost my best friend. I started scatting.
Ooh.
And I was like, well, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do.
That's impressive. I feel like, showing up to an audition and like totally going off track of like the regular audition song and like slating and everything and just
Yeah.
scatting your life away. I feel like if I was a casting director or agent, I would be like, oh, this guy's got something different.
Yeah. Like, and I think I wish that, well, I've learned it in college, but I wish it was more apparent to me, or made more apparent to me in like high school, that yes, we're in this art form and whatnot, but you're a fucking human. You're gonna go up on a line, you're gonna forget a, a lyric or whatever. You're gonna fudge it up somehow, some way, at some point. You know what I'm saying? And that is perfectly okay.
I agree. Especially
And then
live.
that I was to allow myself space for mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. It's about how you recover from it. It's like almost those moments are pretty rich, because it forces you out of like autopilot and places you in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like in the moment where I forgot the lyrics to Colored Spade, I was like, well, shit, what are we gonna do now? Okay. And it wasn't even so much of thinking, what am I gonna do, or allowing myself to get into my head. I just followed what my body wanted to do, and my body started scatting.
Cool. That's really dope.
Okay. And I just went with the impulse,
Yeah, I'm thinking of times that I've forgotten choreography on stage, or like, kind of blacked out about my dancing. And in those moments, most of them were during like a very important show, or even like in a competition setting, because I used to do competitive dance. And I remember I would get off stage and not remember what I did to pull through or survive the like finish of the piece, but I do remember in the moment feeling like, this is truly how I dance. This is truly like the style that comes out, or the movements that come out when I'm in a state of panic, or when I'm in a state of kind of almost flow at the same time too, because it's just like whatever happens happens. Like, it's very improvisational.
Yeah.
And in some ways that's like the most beautiful art.
Truly.
I mean, of course it's important to like stay within the structure of what the show was, or it can be from rehearsal, but like anything can happen out there.
Yeah. And I'm so in thinking about you're talking about your dancing, and thinking about what you shared in my musical audition for Hair. I wonder if, because I was so caught up in like, oh, get the words right, or remember this form, or remember this note, or because I was like so caught up in the form and structure, did I neglected like the soul part of it. So I think being so caught up in what the notes are, and what the moves are, and what the structure of it is, and getting that right, like I might have neglected to bring myself to it, which is what, because the notes, the moves, the words, whatever you're doing, that's already been laid out. But it's our job as artists to breathe life into it and make it hop up off of the page. And not to, because like, if somebody wanted to get like hit everything perfectly as it is, you can just read the shit. You know what I'm saying? Here, just read it. Read it your damn self.
Totally.
But because none of us, we each bring something unique and so beautiful to what it is that we're doing, I think that maybe I I was too focused on wanting to get cross all the T's and dot all the I's in the audition.
Right. You didn't want to like do it so perfectly that it's like just the words and just the like yeah, I think that's the whole reason why I got into this business or this industry or this, whatever art is. It's because I wanted to express myself and like all of the emotions and problems that I felt within my own life like
Yeah.
can come to life on stage in various forms. And when you're working with someone else's work, someone else's words, moves, whatever it is, um, you want to like do it justice, and you want to make sure that you're um, going within the themes that they have already set out and planned and spent many months working on, sometimes years.
Right.
So then you go up there and you're like a vessel, and it's like sometimes I like am a robot on stage, and that's just cheap. That is not something that people are going to pay money to watch. It's
Right.
yeah, that's so interesting. I think it's something that a lot of artists needs to hear.
Yeah. I've gotten like into the habit of telling myself before I like start anything, put your breath on it. You know, put your breath on it. Because like where there's no breath, there's no life.
Yes.
You know, that's not me. At Texas State University, and it's like so duh, but like so. Oh yeah, that's right. You know, um, yeah, and it's also like an invitation when you're in the
It's
midst
a nice reminder.
of yes, when you're in the midst of like a monologue, a scene, a dance, or whatever, to just breathe.
Yes, take that
Because
moment.
if yeah, oh my goodness, breath is so important.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
I remember at TPAP Krista Rodriguez class that she taught. She taught like one class because she had to leave or something.
Yeah, I hate I was not able to like be a part.
My group, we were very lucky. The Cosmic Dust Analyzers, we were very lucky to get her before she left. And but she spoke so much about breathing. And we were working on songs individually, and I was watching her, speak to my fellow participants about their songs. And she would always be like, breathe, take a breath, take another one. Like, why? That wasn't a big enough one. Like, take a bigger one, like really filling the lungs. And it's not to like break up the song or break up the monologue. Like, it really is something that happens in real life. We all breathe, and I think on stage there's such a heightened sense of reality that it's like no one can breathe ever, and don't blink, and don't piss and fart, and don't do any of that stuff.
Right. Like it's pretty. This has got to be, and no one wants to see that.
Literally, yeah. I wouldn't pay money to see
actual
that, to be honest.
human beings.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so you're working on Hair. What a musical. What a project. I feel like for me that musical has always been like a fuck yeah. Like it's always just like a stick it to the man kind of musical, and I wonder if that's I wonder what that process feels like, during these crazy times.
Yeah. So we are. I mean, there are some things in the musical that like now folks might be like, wait a minute, let's rewind. What'd you say?
Yeah.
Or that might take folks back. So right now, like we're really in the business of trying to figure out what it means today, like how it affects folks today, and versus like what's actually trying to be said. You know what I'm saying? Context matters so much here. And so like folks can walk like just with anything else, like any and everything else, someone might walk away offended or thinking something that wasn't intended. So like we're really trying to think about, okay, how can we be truthful to our artistic selves and what the piece calls for, but also, like for example, Colored Spade. It's a song sung by one of the actors of color, black actor, in the musical, and it's like a list of black slurs, like
Yeah.
But and it happened to me because like in preparing to audition and preparing for callbacks and stuff, I was like, you want me to go in and sing these things in front of a panel of white people? I will not. But context matters. Why is he saying these things? And also, it's so important not to look at what's happening, what other people are also saying, right? In conjunction with what's going on with you. There's a line at the end of the song that goes, or so you say, So this is a black man claiming or taking the sting out of these words, these sounds that have been put together that are meant to be harmful and hurtful, and making the declaration that, okay, but they don't define me, because you have these words, you have these really, really nasty words, these really, really nasty songs, not nasty songs, sweet Jesus, nasty words, put to this music that's so groovy and like this guy is singing so like, you want to dance. That juxtaposition is crazy. Like you see me as all of this and you're labeling me as this. Look how cool I am. Look how suave I am. You can call me this, that, and the other, and I'm still going to be just as I am. I'm this, that, and the other. Okay, so you say. But what are you experiencing right now? You wish you could be me,
For sure.
So it's that type of work going on, digging a little deeper, like Mama Odie would say, and finding, not taking everything at face value. And it's so easy to do that, because when I tell you I was hung up on, I felt like I could not see myself singing that song in front of a room of white people. I mean, the lyrics are literally, I'm a colored spade, a nigger, a black nigger, a jungle bunny, jigaboo, something like that. But like, what? I'm gonna do what? But once I identified the power of it, and what it meant for me, or what it does for me, and not quote unquote to me, then I was like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Flipping it on its head, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you cast in that part?
Yes, I was.
All right,
yes,
so you're going to continue to play. I forget what the character's name is, but.
Yeah, keep digging, keep excavating, keep discovering, learning. There is so like I was looking at the different slurs and whatnot, and one of them is like historically, it's not one is it's not even a slur that like, well, okay, so the word, I think it's Kenya, that in Kenya, a group of people in Kenya that was a part of a rebellion that opposed colonization and whatnot. That's something that has some power to it. That's inspiring, like this is a group of people who decided they didn't want to be owned by any other human being who was like themselves. But yet it's like in this list of slurs. So it's kind of like, you're saying, you're labeling me as things and wanting to use them as negative, hurtful things, but you don't even know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, knowing exactly what a thing is, specificity is key, right?
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Informs how you deliver it. So I think that was one of my first. That was the first hunch to me that, oh, there's something deeper, richer, more meaningful here than just saying these slurs. Because if it was just a list of slurs, it's just a list of slurs. So why is okay? But this is not. This is something powerful. Well, at least to you, it inspires you. Why? And why is it here? And what are you going to do with that? Because you've got to deal with it. You know, it's not like you can just say this, get here, and then like drive past it. Got to deal with it.
Right. You face it. Is this a perspective that you discovered and came to on your own, or did you have your director or other mentors kind of guide you to?
I think so. I tried to like so like my first love. I'm actor first, right? And that's just something like in our program that's hammered into us. Specificity is key. If you see it, we'll see it. If it means something to you, it'll mean something to us. We can tell if it doesn't mean it's like I had one professor tell me, I don't care what you see. See something. We're not gonna know what you're using, but we'll know if you're not using anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like that autopilot that we were talking about.
Yeah. If I hadn't looked up those words, every slur would have meant the same thing, you know. Excuse me, sweet Jesus. It also like if I could harken back to what we were talking about when we were discussing like bringing ourselves to the work. Okay, I've been called some of these things. I can't ignore that ouch in me when I get to it. What I feel informs how I deliver it, or what I see, what I sense, and specificity. There's a memory attached to said word. And like one of my professors here, Nadine Mozan, she's incredible. But she like has no problem stopping you mid monologue, mid sentence, and going, "What does that mean?"
Ooh.
Who is that to? Is that, you know what I'm saying? That requires specificity, vulnerability, bringing yourself to the work. You know what I'm saying? Because it means something.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, like just do it. Even if you think you know what something means, look it up anyway. Because I mean, I've done that, and then the definition I find, I'm like, I don't know, but for some reason, this word and this definition resonates with me, and now all of a sudden, the word sits with you in a different way. So you're able to bring something different to your delivery when you speak.
It's not just about,
you know,
like
it
personal
resonates
experience
in you
with the word
differently. It vibrates. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're ever evolving and changing and learning, discovering, growing. So I can read something. Let's see, what's a play that I like? And of course, when I ask myself that question, I'm gonna blank on every play I've ever read.
I know you were in Fences at one point.
I was. How do you know that? Did I
Because
tell
I'm
you
a
that?
nerd and I looked up everything about you before this.
Oh my word! Oh
In
Lord, please
2015,
don't
you were
watch
in
that.
the newspaper about your performance in Fences. Sorry, is that creepy? That's so creepy.
No, it's not creepy at all. But I can read Fences as a sophomore and have it mean one thing to me and resonate with me in one way. But as a 24-year-old man living in the United States of America in the year 2021, in the middle of social unrest or whatever it is you want to call it, whatever the term actually is, That means something different. Whereas back then I was like, oh yeah, I feel Rose because Rose reminds me of my mom, and I can relate to Corey because Corey reminds me of myself. I can now relate to Troy. Not in every, like, I'm not 50 something odd years old, like living in the 50s. I'm not married and I don't have a kid, but I do understand I have a better insight on certain complexities of humanity than I did as a sophomore in high school.
Absolutely.
You know, I get that everything is not so easy. I get that everybody on the planet needs a certain something, or they crave a certain something in their lives. And because of the shit we've experienced, it's conditioned us to, like, maybe not go about getting those things in the best of ways. And so in turn, in order to get the things that we're craving, or the things that we need, or the things that are important to us, that make us feel good about ourselves, we get them in fucked up ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I get it.
Yeah.
You know?
I really like what you said about we are ever changing, we are ever evolving, we are constantly, like, unlearning what we've learned before.
Yeah.
And I think as artists, like, being aware of that in our everyday lives, but so much so in the practice too. You know, every show that you do is going to be different. Every step that I take, my weight is going to be transferred differently. And I think, you know,
that was good.
Thank you.
That was good. Every step I take, my weight is going to be transferred differently. You better say that, Bri Clarke.
You've made many moments so much more beautiful than I have. Thank you for that. But I think it's important to remember that, especially in rehearsal, especially, you know, for something that's alive. Again, it just goes back to that autopilot thing we were talking about, like, as I go up onto the stage or the film or whatever it is, I am bringing myself on that day with the baggage that I have created up until this point, you know, and it's such a beautiful thing, but it can also hinder our psyches and make us, you know, so in our minds about trying to be perfect. And
yeah,
nothing is perfect, and that's why
not
we go
a damn
and
thing.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Not a damn thing. Nobody is interested in seeing perfection.
Because
it's not going to do anything but piss me off.
Right, I know. And I think too, like, just going back to hair for a little bit, because that is the show that you're working on. I think returning to this show and looking at it from different lenses, I imagine that is a lot of internal work as well. And I think I just want to commend you for, you know, doing that, and, like we say, like, facing it on, like, fighting for it right in that moment, instead of like, oh no, I'm not going to look at that show, or I'm not going to even touch that work because it's, you know, politically incorrect at sometimes or whatever. So yeah, I think it's a lot of work to do, and I just want to commend you for that. And you know, as a white person, like, all of the slurs, all of the racial bias that I have grown up in as a white person with this privilege, I am also trying to face head on. And, you know, the only way we can do that is through art and through communication and together.
Absolutely, friend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, friend, for all of that. We do need to wrap up soon, but I do want to talk about your thesis solo that you're working on, your solo show. Because you were explaining to me how messy it has been, and mess is so welcome here. Is it a one-man play?
Yeah, so it's gonna be so. In the honors program that I'm in, they give you the option of you know, like, completing a thesis by the time you graduate. And so like, I want to do that, but it doesn't have to be a research paper because that's daunting as fuck. And I don't want to do that. It can be as creative, as out of the box as you want it to be. And so I have an interest in solo performance work because it really works out all of the muscles of a creative artist, right? Like your writer, your actor, your whatever. Like I want to incorporate song and dance into mine. And one of the reasons I really wanted to put something up of my own was because it's what we're gonna have to do, like in the actual industry, coming out of a collegiate setting and whatnot. Like you're gonna be cast in shit you probably don't want to be in. That you're like, I can do so much better than this. Well, yeah, write it and put it out and do it your damn self. And it's kind of like the reason I decided to do it to get my feet wet and putting up my own work while in college, while I have free real estate, right? I got free space. I don't have to pay nobody. I have resources. I have friends who have an interest in directing or designing or whatever. I can use all of that. And then I have professors who have, they've done this type of work before, who I can use as reference and as guide. But yeah, so it's planned to happen next semester, right before I graduate. I wanted to do the full production of it, but right now I'm thinking of maybe, okay, this might have to be a workshop, a sharing of like my first fruits, because I hadn't wrote the bitch yet. And I don't foresee me having the type of time that I'm going to need to like labor in the writing process with it, and then labor in the rehearsal process with it, and then like get it up and perform it. I just don't think I have that type of time, and I'm not in the business of rushing it, because what it is, I have to say, it requires a lot of like soul searching. Requires me to breathe, because some of what I want to say and deal with, I don't think I've ever had conversations about outside of my own head.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a step-by-step type thing. And I also kind of think that might be why I've like put off sitting down to write it, because sometimes, look, it's a scary thing to thought sometimes, because you surprise the fuck out yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that way. Yeah, you think that way, partner. But
right. And putting it down on paper.
So necessary.
And it's, out of your head, and it's in document form. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, because if you don't, that thing will run circles around your brain like it's Usain Bolt. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I'm thinking that's the path that we're going to take. At the Performance Panorama this year, Company 10, I was really able to bounce different ideas around in different research and development classes and whatnot. And that helped a lot in terms of, finding a theme, finding how I want to structure it, thinking about the different forms of storytelling that can all be incorporated into it. I take big inspiration from Ntozake Shange, who is famous for her choreo poem for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. Splendid, magnificent, excellent writer, human, just God in the flesh. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And I hope to like incorporate, I hit my elbow. I hope to like incorporate some of what she was able to do with her work, with this work. And it's kind of in the same vein. it's about a group of women who go through various things and find strength in community. And so, yeah, I'm thinking about taking the beautiful contradictions that live within this vessel that I call me, and giving them a body and a voice, taking bits and pieces from other influential men in my life and fleshing out these characters, and just expressing what they want individually. And it's going to be bonkers. Like, how can all of these different facets of a person exist in one like human? They do. But coming back to there's strength in community. Like, yes, though none of this shit makes sense. Like, I don't get, like, okay, you're a Christian and you do what? I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? But that's what makes us so interesting. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us not boring.
Right. Yeah. I mean, having opposing views on life and the world that we live in right now is kind of a way for us to continue to keep the conversation going, even that if that conversation turns into more of an argument and more heated. I think you're right. I think if we were all the same, it'd be a pretty fucking boring place to live in.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having a conversation about, like, the contradictions. I mean, it's
very true.
I feel like I'm not gonna say we. I know I felt like, because I hold beliefs and experiences that are vastly different, then that makes me crazy or that makes me a bad person. No, it doesn't. I get the privilege of sitting down with the two at a nicely dimly lit dinner and having a conversation about why this.
Why is there so much tension?
Juxtaposition is always is way more interesting and delicious than a repeated code of the same thing over and over and over again.
Absolutely. A play with characters who are the same is not at all a story to tell. So yeah, I guess in some ways I feel like I can look to theater and look to art as as the thing that does work, and so therefore real life can work then as well. Even if it's so effing messy. Okay, so you're still in the process of writing this show.
Yeah, there's bits and pieces exist.
I mean, you have school, you're doing other things. There's things going on in your life. It's not like you could sit down and do it right now.
Right.
But I wonder if there's, what are your stages right now? Are you like completely nothing is written, or are you still figuring out the overview of things?
Nothing's written in terms of like, no, things are written. But like they exist they exist in bits and pieces. So there are some poems. There are some there's some monologues, but where they fit in the world of what I'm doing, I don't know. That's okay. And also I keep like
to freak you out.
Oh yeah, no. I also keep I haven't decided on how this thing is going to I know how it's going to live. I know where it wants to live. I don't know how it wants to express fully. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Like I don't know, like, as far as like, okay, this many characters and these are this is what's going on with each of them. I don't know that yet. because I think that's that deep sea diving of the soul that has to take place of like, okay, so which parts of you are we going to dinner and talking about tonight?
I love that.
You know, and which parts of you are we healthy enough to like share with an audience of people, brave enough to share with an audience of people, understanding that, well, first I have to know that like every part of me is still worthy of love, the good, bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. You know what I'm saying?
Woo! Yes.
Because when I put these characters on stage, you know, there are going to be some characters who like will be perceived as, oh, that's a villain. That's a fucked up human right there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that's a different feel for, I guess, writer, because like, oh, especially when you know, but that's you, you know?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I kind of feel like, well, if you do it right, if you tell the truth, if you vomit the truth, then they'll see some of themselves. They'll see themselves in that villain and have a hard time villainizing them. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's goodness and badness in all of us.
Yeah. Like I find it very, very difficult to throw a stone at somebody that I can relate to. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wonder too, as you're, you know, going along your process, like you say, like you'll find ways to, I hope you'll find ways to be patient with, you know, your thoughts and your beliefs. Like for my own work too, like when I'm working on something that is very autobiographical, which I've been doing a lot of recently, just because I've been alone in my apartment most of the pandemic. There have been moments where I really look inward, and I have to put my producer hat on instead of just my Bri hat. Yeah. And I have to remind myself that even if I don't want to share the specificities of this experience or this emotion that I'm feeling, at least I can pull from it, and someone will get it. It doesn't have to be 5,000 people, but someone is going to feel those, can relate to it. Because, I mean, even if I'm like still not done loving myself and not done doing the work, there are other people that are at that stage as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Sharing that with the audience is okay. It's okay. Yeah, you know, like I'm constantly like, okay, you're good. You can do this. Yeah. Yeah,
that's so true.
So JaVaun, you're okay. You can do this.
Yeah, that resonated with me in a way that I can't quite like describe just yet. But I felt the little bell toll inside, and I was like,
okay.
Gotta think about that some more. Gotta look into that.
You think about that and keep working. And thank you so much for your time. This was fantastic to catch up with you.
Yeah, this was fun as hell. We got to do this again.
We do. And hopefully I'll come to Texas once and I'll visit you in Ricardo, and we'll do it in person.
Yeah, that would be absolutely magical. I would love nothing more, friend. So serious.
Where can people find you, online or otherwise?
Yeah, so I mean, you can hit up my good old socials. Let's see, what is my at? I don't know. You can find me on Instagram at JaVaun R Butler. That's JaVaun RButler. Or on Facebook, JaVaun Ryal Butler, and Ryal is spelled Ryal. But yeah. I'm not a big Twitter user, so.
Neither am I.
Yeah.
I will link all of that below so people can check you out. Thank you so much for opening up the curtain on your magic show.
Thank you for allowing me the space to do so.
All right, I will stop the recording then. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the Art Versations podcast. Please help the podcast community continue to grow by clicking subscribe or follow on your podcast platform, and leave a review. As well, follow the podcast on Instagram at artversationsPod. You'll find photos of the guest you just heard, plus highlights and quotes from each episode. Let's keep the Artversation going. Send in a DM with your thoughts about art and any questions you might have for guests. Special thank you goes out to Jen Marquez and Maxim Bartnowski for their contributions. And thank you, listener. Till next time.